What's up, fellas? It's time for Wake Up Mintzy, presented by Dude Wipes. And I gotta say, I feel like I'm shot out of a cannon this morning. I'm usually a high energy guy. This is on a level I hadn't felt in a while. And that's also thanks to fine folks of Dude Wipes. No company cleans up messes better, and no show needs it more than Wake Up Mintzy. You can find Dude Wipes at Target, Walmart, on the internet, all over the country. One use of Dude Wipes will change your life. You'll never need dry, scratchy, itchy toilet paper again. And there's only one other way to wake up, and that's with a sip of Big Cat's amazing Stella Blue coffee. All right, boys, let's face the day. And we've got the one man who's just made for Wake Up Mintzy joining us today. The one, the only, the source, Stu Finder, because it's STuesday. What's up, Stu? How are you doing this morning?
And first of all, I love you. Tyler, I love you. It's my greatest honor when I'm on the show. The last couple of weeks, I haven't had that pep in my step because you've been busy, you've been out of town, you've been on vacation. There's been other people on your show, but I'm back. I'm so humble. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. I got my fourth cup of Stella Blue. I feel so energetic. It's absolutely amazing. I love you. I love you. I love you. And all to Wake Up Mintzy out there. I love all of you. I know how competitive the industry is. I know how competitive it is for your ear, for your eyeballs, for your heart. Thank you for joining us.
And we're also joined, as Stu said, Tyler Moody from Louisiana, producer. What's up, Mr. Moody? How are you this morning?
Hey, what's up, boys? I'm feeding off of y'all's energy. I woke up a little bit tired. I stay up late sometimes, so this morning grind is tough for me. But when you wake up with mints and stew, that energy is contagious, and I'm feeling it too. I'm ready to go now.
All right, a lot of stuff. I'm going to run through some quick announcements, and we're going to talk to Stu about a bunch of stuff. A lot of stuff to get to here. A lot of moving parts. All of it's good stuff. Just feeling the rejuvenation. So last week, I'm sure y'all saw, got into some snafus with Big Cat, but we got it worked out on the act. But I actually got sent home on Thursday because I was coughing so much up here. I had a cold and a cough. And, I ended up just chilling all weekend for the first time in forever. I'm always going a mile a minute. Stu, you're like this too. We're just like, it never ends. It's like high energy, doing everything on the calendar. And I took a step back for 3 days and I was like, you know what? Let's hit the reset button. Let's get our plans together for the next few months. Let's chill. And I'll be damned if it didn't work. And now this is crazy, the amount of energy I have. All right, bunch of stuff to get to this week. First of all, Thursday night, can't wait to hear Stu's opinion on this because he knows about it. I'm hosting Barstool Comedy Night at the Laugh Factory Chicago with Nick Turaney, Mook, and Chris Bader. They're going to join us on the show Thursday. Look, Laugh Factory Chicago tickets are on sale. If you use code Mintzy, $15 off. You're getting like almost half off your ticket with code Mintzy. Join us. It's going to be a special comedy night. Starts at 8 o'clock. The Laugh Factory Thursday night. I've been kind of prepping, working on some stories and stuff. But, let's be honest, guys. Both Tyler and Stu know this. I mean, it would almost be funnier if I bombed. I don't plan on bombing, but something's going to happen. Stu, you've done some comedy stuff. Do you have any advice for me?
Well, speaking of bombing, the last time that I did Comedy Mints, I bombed. It was a Craig Carton comedy hour for charity, and I had about 5 minutes. Now, my comedy history in the past has just been unprecedented, maybe the best ever, better than George Carlin, better than Jerry Seinfeld, better than anyone ever, just up there. I had 5 nights hosting for Joey Diaz on Broadway. I killed it. I did my own 40-minute set at my father's place, killed it. Then all of a sudden I walk on to Craig Carton, very cocky, Ben and Tyler, like I had this nailed. Smoked 5 blunts before I went on, and I just went on and I froze. Now, in the stands was A++ celebrities. You had Willie Colon and his entire family. You had Chris Canty. You had CC Sabathia front and center. And every single joke that I made bombed. I'm talking, you could have heard someone scratch their ass. You could have heard a fart. Just nothing worked, Ben. So when you're up there, don't think of me bombing. Don't think of me freezing when you're up there. You know what you got to do? And I really think about this. Have to be straight. until after the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I
Until
will not
until
be
the
smoking.
women.
I will not be smoking 5 blunts before I get
No,
up there.
no,
That
no.
would get me all paranoid. I wouldn't.
Right. No, no. You just got to be straight. And to me, when you talk from the heart, you're funny. When I see you, all I want to do in a non-sexual way is laugh, hug, and kiss you. Like that bathrobe right now. If I was in studio, I'd be hugging it out with you right now. I just
Hell yeah.
giving
Well,
you a big
dude,
hug. And you are funny. Everything about you is funny. You were born funny. Your mannerisms are funny. Everything you accentuate is funny. Your stories are funny. Your life is funny. You're like the world's clown. You know what I mean? You're
no,
funny.
I am, and I'm totally comfortable with that. Like the problem is with the comedy thing is gonna be interesting for me, and you get this too because you're such an outsized character. I'm never funny when I try to be funny though. It's always when I screw up and it's like the accidental stuff is what goes off. So that's why this has like really funny potential because like I could crash and burn. Maybe I'll do well. Brandon Walker killed it a couple months ago. I want to give him a huge shout out. He hosted it. He got up there and killed it. So I mean, I got to try to match him. I'm super excited about it though. I think it's like a broaden your horizons thing. It's good to grow, do different stuff. And then, shout out to Mook and Nick Traney and Chris Bader and the Laugh Factory guys, hoping to get a good turnout. Like I said, code Mintzy, $15 off. That's Thursday night. Some other stuff to get to. I've got the calendar cranks back up for me. It stopped over the weekend, but that's like the first time it did. I'm playing the Mid-States Poker Tour $1,110 main event in Firekeepers, Michigan this weekend. Can't say I've ever been to Kalamazoo, Michigan, but first time for that. It's like 3 hours away. It's like 1,400 people. It's like $400K to first. And then Moody, big announcement for the show. There's been it kind of came up last week on the Yak. But yesterday, the momentum hit for this. I went to Hank. I got it approved. I got us a hotel. We're taking Wake Up Mintzy on the road for the first time ever. We're going to the SEC baseball tournament in Hoover, Alabama next week, Tuesday through Thursday. We're going to do live shows. Well, we'll have the delay. Not quite live. But what's going to be super fun about it, the SEC tourney, Stu, 9 a.m. first games, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So perfect for an 8 a.m. morning show in front of it.
Unbelievable.
My boys from Monroe that I grew up with and went to high school with, this is like so full circle. They've been going to the SEC tourney since 2008, and they do it freaking huge. Tents, couches, big screens, crawfish, jambalaya, go all out. And so we got a great setup in the left field parking lot in Hoover. We're going to do shows. I don't want to reveal who the guests are yet, but we've got like royalty of the college baseball world lined up to join us for these shows. We're taking it to the people. I've had a lot of wild stuff at the SEC tourney the last 2 years. That's where the Whistler video, when I got in his face 2 years ago, happened to blew up. So we're probably going to run into the Whistler again, but we're going to be doing live shows. Hoover, which is like a Birmingham suburb, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 o'clock in front of the SEC tourney. Moody, you're coming over from Louisiana. Shout out to Barstool for supporting this. I think I'm trying to, it's like always what they say, you undersell and over deliver. So I guess, Stu, that's one thing you always say, but I think we're going to have a huge week. I think taking this thing on the road, I've had a lot of success with the college baseball SEC tourney stuff. We're going to do it really big. We're going to grill out. We're going to do content, running around. They've got the Fan Fest thing with like batting cage, all kinds of stuff. Moody's going to be there clipping me. We're going to fire some games on DraftKings with college baseball lines up. I don't know, Moody, what could be better? I know you're fired up about it too.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely pumped about it. For me, I work most of the year during football and basketball season. But fortunately for me this summer, like I don't have much going on, so I can make some road trips with you for places like Hoover and hopefully the World Series of Poker. We can get out there and get some extra content. But I'm freaking excited about this. I've never been down to the SEC tournament, so we're gonna get everything set up. We're gonna hopefully get Mintz in the batting cage, try and get him to do some on-site activities, and then obviously each morning we'll get the SEC tournament started right with Wake Up Mintzy.
Yeah, so the tournament starts Tuesday at 9, and it's looking like both Ole Miss and LSU are going to play on Tuesday because the lower seeds are playing then. But we'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Knock on wood with weather because sometimes, spring in Alabama can be kind of rainy. But we're going to make do. We're going to make this happen. And then there's also talk. We're figuring out some stuff behind the scenes right now on it. But there's talk of a crawfish boil on Thursday too. And Moody, a crawfish boil at the SEC tourney in Alabama sounds like a Southern tradition if I've ever heard one. I'm fired up about it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm actually curious, Stu, when was the last time you had a great crawfish boil?
Well, Ben has promised and did not deliver. It's one of the few things he has not delivered on. He promised several times he's going to come to the pool, have a crawfish boil, blow it out with all his Southern and Cajun expertise. Has not happened yet, but I'm so looking forward to it. I love crawfish. I can eat crawfish all day. If there's crawfish in front of me, the only time you leave the table is after it's done. I love it. I eat it. I suck it. I just keep.
Yeah, I suck the heads too.
You know, I suck it off. There's nothing. I love it. So to answer your question, Tyler, I've only had it at restaurants. That's it. I've never had a crawfish boil, hanging out poolside. So Ben, maybe you can
still
make
owe
that
this
happen.
to Stu. I bet Stu's right. He's calling me out. He's right because I did say we're doing this. I've got a guy in Louisiana that wants to come up and do it at your place too. I've got a really good dude. Shout out Richard Hotheads in Alexandria, Louisiana. Dude's the man. Big Barstool supporter. So we got a huge week next week with the SEC tourney. We're pumped to take that on the road. So, we got the comedy night Thursday night. Gonna hit some poker. Feeling some poker heat too. I've cashed in 4 out of my last 7 tournaments. Pretty big. I'm hotter in poker than I've been in the last couple of years at Barstool. Excited about that Saturday. And then next week going to Hoover for the SEC tourney. So we're hitting it running. Speaking of poker, Moody, the only man who might have a more charmed life than me is Chris Moneymaker. He won a $25K buy-in in the Triton Poker Series in Montenegro for $900,000 yesterday. Oof. He wins 900, but the real story, he was down to one bet. He had literally almost one chip left right outside the money, comes back, wins almost $1 million. What a world.
Isn't that Chris Moneymaker's story? I mean, living legend, put poker on the map nationally for everyone. And, that's what he does. No one gets cards like he does. No one pulls cards out of their ass like Chris Moneymaker.
To only one bet outside the money.
That's almost impossible.
To win almost $1 million. And I saw on his Twitter, he was like, what do you do after you win, this tournament for $900K? And he was sitting in a $1, $3 no limit game with his friends with a few $100. I loved it. The common man.
Exactly. I love him. And then speaking of baseball a little bit, I'm wearing my Seton Hall shirt.
Okay.
Seton Hall asked me to throw out the first pitch during one of their college baseball games. They only have like 3 or 4 left. I'm trying to get there because just so busy right now with the NBA playoffs and Major League Baseball and the shout outs that we're doing. You saw that Mulch is here, just happened last week. Next week is the perfect dive by the pool. The pool is going to be open between the 17th and the 19th. Then May 22nd, we dive into the pool. And I think you saw that we're doing the first ever come to Stu's house diving shout outs. You buy a diving shout out and we put your name into a hat. Then 4 of your friends plus yourself come to my house. I cook for you. I eat with you. I laugh with you. I party with you. And we swim in the pool. And that you can get that diving shout out at BeLikeStu.com. But Seton Hall loves me. I love Seton Hall. I was Jewish. Now I'm changed over to Catholic because, you got to get in with the Seton Hall people. You're better off being a Catholic than a Jew, especially right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't need no protests. I don't need anything. Yeah. I'm just ready to throw the first pitch out there. So I'm ready to roll. And can I just drop something right now at StuFinder.com? My NBA has never been better. This is the biggest and best May I've ever had in my life. On an 11-3 best bet run on my 25,000 all in max best bets. My overall run is like a 57 and 24 best bet run. Everything I touch turns to gold right now, whether it's baseball or NBA. And thank God, because I have a paywall. I'm the only person at Barstool that has the paywall. So if you have a paywall and you're asking Stoolies to pay, you better win. And I'm winning bigger than I've ever won in my life. So I'm so excited to win because that's how I pay the bills. That's how I live larger than life. And that's how I'm able to really, function. So I love winning. You're a gambler. You're one of the real professional gamblers at Barstool, probably the only real professional gambler and definitely the only winner that's established. So you know what I'm talking
right.
about.
You tell them, Stu.
It's you and me, and then everyone's under us. We look down on people there. People gamble for content. We gamble for money and to win.
Woo! Yeah, Woo! So let's get that. Actually ties in perfectly. Let's touch on some playoff stuff. So you've been real hot in the NBA playoffs.
Yes.
Last night, Boy, I stayed up watching that Thunder Mavericks game. The Thunder with a huge fourth quarter comeback.
Oh my God.
End up winning. The Mavs kind of blew that game. They went really cold on offense down the stretch.
Absolutely.
Thunder tying that series 2-2. I feel like the Mavs kind of let them get away with one. They had a chance to go up 3-1, win 3 in a row there. I'm really impressed with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, though. He's unbelievable, the way he can create his own shots and how smooth his game is. Huge win for the Thunder to make it 2-2. And then the Boston-Cleveland game, there was some really interesting line movement stuff I want to touch on here yesterday. So Donovan Mitchell, the Cleveland star guard, got announced out like 30 minutes or an hour before the game.
Unbelievable. I've never seen that before. A superstar, the best player in their team, gets scratched a half hour before. No notice at all.
Well, so Boston went from 8 all the way to 12. And a lot of times when this stuff happens, though, this is why Vegas and line makers make a ton of money. People overreact to it. And so everybody, the second the Mitchell thing comes out, everybody fires Boston huge. They end up winning by 7. And Vegas, the bookmakers probably just torched it yesterday with Boston not covering after Mitchell got announced out. I feel like the public had to be huge on Boston in that game.
Yes. And they were on Boston before the game, at 8.5, they were on Boston, and they were on Boston late also. Most of the money, though, was on the Dallas Mavericks. Most of the money was on the Mavericks. You know how I work, against the grain, against the public.
I had the Thunder too. No, I had the Thunder last night too. I had the Thunder and I had Boston and got it in when it was 8, so I was feeling good. And I thought about middling it when it went to 12, taking both sides to just free roll because you had that 4-point window where you could win both. And I didn't, and I just stuck with Boston at 8 and actually lost. But I mean, I can't be mad, whatever. No. And I had the Thunder, and then so Thunder 2-2. The Nuggets Wolves get back to it tonight, I believe. That's 2-2. And man,
can't wait for that game.
Yeah, how about the Nuggets story? Boy, we all missed something here, and I know it's easy to overreact in sports and stuff. The Nuggets were 4-1 to win the series when down 2-0, and they were all the way up to 19-1 to win the title. When they were
Alex
down 2-1.
My son Alex bet him when they were.
That's awesome. I think good for him. I'm mad.
19-1, 15-1.
I'm so mad I didn't see that because you got to look at, I'm not saying I knew they'd come back, but the championship medal that team has, they've won it all. They've got the MVP in Jokic. Jamal Murray's an unbelievable playoff guy. Great coaching, Porter, role players. They got it all, and they've proven they can do it. You don't expect them to just roll over and get swept, after they just won the title. You knew they'd fight back. I didn't know they would fight back as strong as they did the last 2 games, but you had to figure they would at least, that game 3 was a little bit of an Armageddon situation. Being down 2-0, they come out and just destroy them. Then they looked really good in game 4. All of a sudden, that's 2-2. They're back in it. Good for your son, Alex, because I feel like as a gambler, I'm very mad at myself that I missed that because it was a really big opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, he's betting, 20 to 60 bets a day. So he's on it all the time. He loves these futures. He loves extreme value. On the podcast that me and Alex do together, Only Stu Pod, that we're going to do right after this show. Matter of fact, we do it Tuesday, released every Wednesday, Only Stu Pod. He said the Denver Nuggets are going to win the championship. When they went down 1-0, I said, Alex, what do you think? He says, no problem. When they went down 2-0, he said, I'm going all in. I'm rebetting them. They're going to win it. So he was not surprised. We had both games big, the Nuggets, and it's 2-2's 2-2. It's unless you're down 4-3 or 4-0 or 4-2, you're alive. You're alive, especially now in the NBA, especially with no defense, especially if you're the perennial world champs. They showed a lot of class. Minnesota's first time there in forever. And, they're showing some kinks in the armor. You know what I'm saying? When you're up 2-2 and you're playing game 3 at home, you got to put your foot on the champ's throat. You did not. You opened the door. You got a lot of problems right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And I want to ask you this because this is something that just talking about strategy, and you've been a handicapper and done this now. You're over 30 years in. You've been doing it since the 90s. I feel like
40 years, 43 years. I've been
43 years. I didn't mean to undersell.
No, 1981. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
no, Ben, no problem.
I'm an amateur on this.
I'm not holding it against you.
No.
No, forget about it. Just make believe you didn't even say it.
43 years. 43 years.
Right, exactly.
All right. So the one thing, I'm an amateur in it. I'm not sitting here saying I can make a living doing it. I can't, but I do know more than the average person. And I feel like the one gambling fallacy I always see is you're never as good or as bad as the last game.
Correct.
And I feel like the public, you'll see, and you see it, this Nuggets T-Wolves series is an exact example. Everybody saw the game 2 when the T-Wolves beat them 106-80 in Denver and said, oh, they're done. But it's a funny thing. Everybody overreacts to what they just saw. And you see that in football, especially when you see like Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night games. If you look really bad on a primetime game or really good on it, the next week you just flip the opposite. And I just feel like the public always, it's just, everybody just knows what they just saw and they don't look at like the overall big picture. And I don't know. Do you think there's some truth to that?
Yeah, 100% truth. There's always overreactions to what you see. So, for example, normally, especially in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, whatever won on national TV, the national TV game, you bet opposite the next week. Like, for example, Monday night team football, team shows up, looks amazing, wins by 40, they're going to get overvalued the following Sunday, and then they get blown out. So absolutely. So the odds makers always take advantage of that. There's always an overreaction, and gamblers only have a very, very short memory and a short eye test. They want to remember what they just saw, and they think it will continue, whereas we know most of the time direct opposite.
Yeah, I love that you agree with that because that was the one thing. And then the other thing I want to ask you about that I've picked up over the years that I've seen, I'm curious to see because you're always, Stu, your strategy, and like I obviously know you very well and know that you're always on the side against the public. Like you're looking at the angles, really close. Like if it looks too good to be true, it is. I always feel like in football and in basketball a little bit, but especially football, when you see like road favorites by 2.5 points specifically, that line where they'll put it out like, hey, you can take the better team. They only have to win by field goal. It's like a rat with like throwing cheese out there. And so that specific line, when I see that road favorite by 2.5, I mean, I just like blindly take the home dog. I feel like that is like the all time, and it's a kind of one in basketball, but it's more of a football thing. But you just see, I don't know. I feel like I've been doing, like I've been, I mean, I'm no saint, but I mean, I'm like 25 years into following this stuff and the lines and stuff. And it's just something about that road favorite by 2.5. Like if I just see that line, it's just like stars go off in my head. That's like the rat one. I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, we're professionals. We do it for a living. In your case, you're putting your hard-earned money on the line. In my case, thousands, hundreds of thousands, and in a lot of cases during the big games, millions of dollars is bet, in my opinion. So how I teach it and how when people follow me, they know we stay away from the trap games. We stay away from them. We normally set the trap. I can see when the odds maker sets the trap, and I like to take advantage of that. Because a couple of different situations here. First of all, they don't need me to tell them to bet the better team. They're going to do it on their own. They need me to really be that insurance. They need me to be Dr. Finer. Dr. Finer, analyze this, Stu. I want to do this. It looks so easy. What do I do? And then I say, well, pay me. And when they pay me, normally I put them on the right track. And that's exactly right.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Like we're delving a little bit into gambling strategy, and obviously we're DraftKings partners. Check that out. It's interesting, though, because your style, and I try to follow this too, it's like when you're wrong, though, on it, it's like you look so crazy because you take the opposite public side, and then the public, when you're wrong and you lose big,
it get embarrassed.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're an idiot for taking it. Like, what are they thinking?
Right.
But again, I'm more often than not, though.
Right. Losers don't matter. Like, sorry to interrupt you. Losers don't matter. What you did yesterday, even if you get beat by 100, does not matter. That's you just put it aside. Every day's a new day. Every opportunity is a new opportunity. And that's the key to a winning gambler. And to really see if you could go the distance gambling, you have to have that mentality that whatever you did yesterday cannot affect what you do today. Again, that's why you have to bet responsibly. You could never bet irresponsibly. You could never bet over your head, because if you bet over your head, first of all, that's rule number one. That is, you're fit for disaster. So that's why you can never bet over your head. You have to have a bankroll. You have to bet within your means forever and always. And that is the key to winning money gambling. If you make a monster bet over your head and you win or you lose, the next day, you're not in a good spot, because now you don't know what to do, because something you did wrong worked, and eventually it's going to fail. So in other words, very true what you're saying. That's a true tested formula. You can never bet over your head, and you can never overreact to yesterday.
I love hearing this.
And if you get embarrassed, it doesn't matter. It's one game. We're playing 365 days, 7 days a week, 10 games, 100 games, or one best bet a day for my monster players out there. Cannot let yesterday affect today. Ever. I don't care if you get beat by 1,000. Doesn't matter. Blow it out. That's how it is. It's like when you go to a bar and you're trying to get a woman. How I used to do it is the word no meant nothing. You go up to every woman. I started with the
numbers game.
No, yeah, I always started with the most beautiful woman out there, the hottest girl in the bar, because how I think it is, people are not going to have the balls. They're not big enough. They're not long enough. They can't hold it enough. And they think they're going to be, overcompensating. They don't have the guts to go to the woman. I go right to her. She says, no, get away from me, you pig. I go to the second one. No, get away from me, you pig. Eventually it works. That's how it works. It's a numbers game.
You miss all the shots in life you don't take.
Exactly. Failure after failure. Never lose your enthusiasm.
And
no means no. You don't touch. Hey,
of course
how
not.
you doing? Let's
Absolutely.
go to bed. No.
Just dealing with rejection and realizing that's part of it, and like not letting it affect you too much is the way to look at it. One other question too. This is like, I'm kind of fascinated getting to pick. Stu's been doing this 43 years, and so getting to learn from him.
Thanks for getting that right.
So you also, one of your strategy things, one of the mistakes I make, and then I think is one of the biggest common mistakes, is like spreading yourself out, taking too many games.
Correct.
And that is something you do really well. Like I'll see your Sundays, your Saturdays, and you got 5 or 6 picks the whole day on an NFL Sunday, or a college football Saturday where there's like 60 games and you've got, 5 to 8. And I feel like I'm guilty of this. Like, it's like the action junkie in me. A game will come on TV. I want to have something on it to follow it. But it's like that discipline is a very key thing that allows your success. And I noticed like last year, I did a lot better because I was like, I'm going to take 4 or 5 NFL games a week. And I just smoked it and like lowered my volume, and I was playing too many. When you spread yourself out too much, they get you with the juice.
Well, I mean, no choice about it. And you got to make a decision. What do you want to do when you gamble? Mm-hmm. Do you want to have fun? Do you want to have action? Or you want to win? Like the first time I was ever on Pardon My Take, it was me, Big Cat, PFT, and Hank. I think it was 2016. And I explained to Big Cat and PFT the only actual way to make money gambling. And all my big bettors to this day from 1981 and in 2024, most of them, the big players, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million players like Dave Portnoy, you're betting max 1 game a day. Most of the time, 3 games a week. And if you want to have the optimum level, you wait. You take your time. You can bet 10 games a day, but for tiny, tiny, tiny money. Let's say you're $1,000 to $2,000 better. You're betting all the other games for $50, and you're sending it in on your best bet, your best opportunity, $1,000 to $2,000. So that's really the only way to make money gambling. Most people, in reality, if you read their mind, if you ripped open their head, looked at their little teeny minuscule tiny brain, you'll see they don't want to win. They want to have fun.
Yeah.
They want action. They want the roller coaster. They want the juice. They want that sizzle. They want to be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that really, caters to the bookmaker. You can't win doing that. 1 best bet a day, 3 games a week, 1 game a week, 50 games a year for real money, and the rest just for fun.
Yeah. See, I find myself between those two lines on it, because I do it for entertainment, sports gambling. I don't claim to like make that much money or anything doing it. So I'm, I'll be honest, like people make fun of me on stuff like this, bet responsibly. I'm like a $50 unit player, and I don't do anything wrong.
That's smart.
Yeah. And so I'll bet 50 a game. And then if I have like a max game, it's like 4 units, like 200 is like my max, and that's a big one. But I usually play about 50, if I really like something, 100, and it's entertainment. And I don't know, I just think that's kind of just how I look at it. And if I lose, I'm like, it's like buying a concert ticket or a dinner, I got 3 hours entertainment out of it for $55, whatever. And I got to enjoy something. And so I don't know. It's an interesting thing, like the whole unit shaming thing. And like, I agree, Stu, you always preach betting responsibly. I agree with that too. Money is it's a unit of value. And so it's a very fascinating thing. That's like $50 can be a lot to someone. And then somebody can bet 100K and it be nothing to them. It's like relative in a weird way. I don't know.
Well, I have multi-million-dollar customers that are worth Some of them are billionaires. Some of them, make $1 million a day. And some of those people will never bet above 100 a game. They just won't, because they get the same thrill. They're disciplined. They just put whatever the amount of money they put down. They want to win. They're so competitive. They're competitive in life. And the amount of money that they bet has no significance at all to their action. They love betting. And that would be, the world would be a much better place. Gambling contingents, the gambling world would be a much safer venue if people could understand that. You don't need to bet 50,000, 20,000, 10,000 a game. You could get the same vig, the same juice out of betting $10 a game, $100 a game, $1,000 a game. You don't need to really put your neck on the line. And that's really, either you're going to learn it or gambling's going to teach it to you because it's going to humble you. That's just the way it goes.
And chat, if y'all got any questions for Stu, fire them away at the chat with Moody. He's watching it. We can ask Stu some questions if y'all like. Shout out Brick Watch too, by the way. We got the website back up and running. Anybody that's interested in buying a Brick Watch, send me a DM. We'll see if we can make you some deals, make something happen on that front. Glad to see the website back up and running on that front. Speaking of gambling too, so Moody, I made a wager yesterday on DraftKings. Over the weekend, I was watching this close. I took a future to win the College World Series. I know Stu's like not the one sport he's not as into is the college baseball because it's such a Southern thing, but it's come a long way in the last few years. I remember a couple of years ago, when this was starting and the lines were coming out and it became legal in the U.S., you couldn't find lines of college baseball games. Like you'd find them for the NCAA tournament. Now the DraftKings has lines. They have run lines, over-unders, money lines on every game, like Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek. The college baseball thing's blown up. And I took a futures bet on Wake Forest at 14-1 to win the College World Series on Sunday. Last year, they lost in the Final Four to LSU on Tommy Tanks' walk-off homer. They've got Chase Burns, one of the top aces in college baseball. Their number 2 pitcher is like healthy and stepping back up. They got a deep lineup. They kind of held some guys out, had a lot of guys injured during the year. And they kind of held them out. Now they brought all their bullpen back, and they're number 12, but they swept number 2 seed Clemson on their home field last week. They're peaking at the right time, and I think there's some value because I think they're like a top 3 to top 5 team, but they kind of like held back during the year, just trying to be healthy at the end. And so I think that 14-1 could be 8 or 10-1 real soon. So I fired it on DraftKings. 14-1. I put $100 on Wake Forest to win it all. So that's going to be my college baseball future, but they're red hot right now. We got 1 weekend left in the college baseball regular season. Next week, the conference tournaments will be in Hoover. And then after that, I love that few weeks, man. The NCAA tournament starts Friday, May 31st. Going through Omaha, College World Series is like June 14th to 25th. So really ready to crank that up. We're going to be at the SEC tourney. I'm going to be firing games on DraftKings. Follow me for picks. And, if you've never checked out the college baseball, it's like this kind of reminds me of the college basketball, the March Madness thing where it goes so nuts during March, the winner take all thing. Baseball is very similar, man. The NCAA tournament. It's awesome, and the game's growing. Love the College World Series in Omaha, and we're super behind it. So taking Wake Forest 14-1. Excited about all that. All right, Stu,
and you were the main reason that college baseball became so big as far as the gambling contingent, because when you went to Barstool and you were telling Dave Portnoy, he was like, well, I can't really play here. I can't really play here. And I think you were the push because people saw it, bookmakers saw, well, Dave Portnoy wants to bet it. Mintzy's pushing it. The world's going to bet it. I think you were the main reason for them to go full blown into college baseball. So congratulations.
I appreciate
it's like
that.
I invented the perfect hour of sex with 15-15-30. I believe you're the reason that college baseball gambling is so big in the world. Take a bow then.
Yeah, well, and the year it came out,
with all your accomplishments, you got to put that on your mantle.
Yeah, it was like the 2021 was the year it got going, and I remember I had this run in Omaha where I was like 1-9, and everybody just got rich fading my picks. But hey, if you're gonna fail, do it spectacularly. It blew up, and I actually did really good the next year. And I feel like the college baseball, it's interesting because the lines makers have only been doing it for a couple of years, Stu, and so they don't have as much info on how to handicap it as they do on NBA and NHL playoffs, to where, you're looking at NBA and NHL playoffs, you're talking about like edges that are so razor thin. They're like that. But I think the college baseball stuff, they're still figuring out how to do the lines and stuff. And like you've got the metal bats thing, so it makes the games really wild and it's kind of harder to handicap. And so I think I found something where, like, I can't say I would kill it, but I think the underdogs have a lot of value because it's so unpredictable with the metal bats, and they'll make the favorites like minus 220, minus 260 too heavy. And I think you're getting a lot of value back on your plus 150, plus 180 dogs. And so that's kind of the strategy.
Nice.
And then the other quick thing on it too is Friday nights, like the teams will have their aces pitch on Friday, but by Sunday, the third teams don't have a good third starter. And so you'll see over-unders that are like 9 or 10 on Friday, and there'll be 2-1 games, the first round picks pitching. And then Sunday, you'll see over-unders that are 14, and the games will be 12-10. It's like a weird thing, but like when you get to these staffs in college baseball don't have 3-4 good starters, deep bullpens. And so by the end of these weekends, these games just go nuts. So it's very interesting to follow because it's a whole new thing. And I know you've also been following NHL playoffs. I know y'all had the Borelli streams, the Islanders, they got beat, unfortunately. Rangers were up 3-0 in the series against the Hurricanes. Now all of a sudden it's 3-2. Last night the Hurricanes winning in MSG. That's kind of what you talked about with the Nuggets T-Wolves. It's never really over. All of a sudden, I mean, the Rangers still in a good spot up 3-2, but they got to go back to Carolina, and the Hurricanes got some momentum.
Yeah, no two ways about it. It was probably the weakest 3-0 series lead I've ever seen in my life because really Carolina could have won all 3 games that the Rangers won. So for it to be 3-2 going back to Carolina and the chance to be 3-3 and the chance for this series to go 7, is not surprising to anyone that knows hockey. Every Ranger fan that I know, including my father, may he rest in peace in heaven, knows that the Rangers are never a lock to do anything. The more success they have, the more probably they're going to fail. So I really believe whoever wins this Ranger-Carolina series probably going to win the cup. I mean, they're the 2 best teams. There's no 2 ways about it. They're the most skilled teams. They're absolutely incredible. It's one of the greatest hockey series I've ever seen in my life. And Game 6 is going to be electric. It is just going to be electric because all the Ranger fans, their stomachs in a knot. They do not want Game 7. They know how Game 7 is going to go. It's going to be a nightmare for the Rangers. So I think if the Rangers do not close it out in Carolina, they're in a world of trouble. They could be golfing with the Islanders.
Well, it's interesting because not just the Rangers, but like what's going on in the pulse of New York sports right now. You looked at the Knicks were up 2-0 on the Pacers, and the Rangers were up 3-0 on Carolina, and it was the biggest freaking party I've seen in New York in a long time. And then all of a sudden, both series, the Knicks are dealing with a ton of injuries right now. We saw they lost Game 3, a close game. They got destroyed in Game 4 in Indiana. And now all of a sudden that's 2-2 going back to the Garden. And now the Rangers are up 3-2. And so I feel like I can just feel the collective like nervousness from New York coming from here. And 4 days ago, it was the biggest party ever. It's crazy how fast it changes.
The Knicks situation is a little different than the Rangers because Carolina was favored to beat the Rangers. Mm-hmm. Carolina is almost favored in every single game, even in Madison Square Garden. The game is like a near pick'em or Carolina is a slight favorite. The Knicks is a tragedy because of the injuries. I mean, they hobbled in without Julius Randle. Then they just had injury after injury after injury. And Tibbs plays everybody almost 48 minutes, which is insane. And injuries are going to happen. Alex has said this is going to happen all year. Alex hates Tibbs. He thinks he's the most overrated coach in the NBA. And really, he's the reason the injuries have happened. That's what Alex said from Jump Street. He said it 5 months ago. He didn't say it yesterday. And now it's coming to fruition. So it's so sad because you really cannot overcome injuries. The Knicks are not that deep that they can overcome injuries. Again, it's like the Celtics. Without Porzingis, Celtics do not look like the Celtics. I mean, Celtics could never close the door on any game throughout the year. They'd have a 40-point lead, and they barely win. So in other words, when you have injuries, especially in the NBA, especially to key players, and especially to the New York Knicks, it's tragic right now because, you're just, the dam is open. There's holes everywhere. You're taking gum and you're putting it, but eventually it's going to fall on your face. And, the Knicks probably have shot their load. If they can even get to the championship against Boston, they're going to get smoked, as we see, because they just do not have the players. It's not a fair fight no more. It is a shame. And New York is panicking. It's a total depression right now. Stomachs are in a knot. And, you're going to have the whole offseason to recap this. But, New York's in trouble. Both teams. Trouble.
Yeah, the Pacers-Knicks Game 5 coming up. So that series 2-2. Other basketball stuff. So we said Thunder Mavs tied at 2, Nuggets T-Wolves tied at 2. And then last night, I want to mention this Boston Cleveland thing. It was I mentioned that line movement was just crazy. I mean, Boston was favored by 8, and then it came out Donovan Mitchell was out 30 minutes before. It ended up 12. Boston won by 7, as I mentioned, but Boston now up 3-1. So Boston in the driver's seat. They're going to close this out. That's the one that seems pretty obvious. It sounds like you don't have too much faith in the Knicks. And then the two Western Conference series still up for grabs, even though it's kind of hard to think you'd want to go against the Nuggets right now.
Correct. I mean, look, they're the world champs, and it looks like Malone made the adjustments. He's a fabulous coach, maybe the most underrated coach in the history of NBA, and how are you going to stop the Nuggets when they're on their A game? You really cannot. It's why they won the championship last year. And, it looks like a collision course between Nuggets and Celtics. And, I don't think the Celtics can beat the Nuggets. Doesn't look like it to me.
Yeah, the Nuggets.
Both teams get there.
Moody, what are your thoughts on? Do you have any thoughts on NBA playoffs right now?
It was just super disappointing to watch the Mavs choke that one away to the Thunder yesterday. I mean, a chance to go up 3-1. That obviously as a Dallas fan, that sucked. And you guys are touching on it perfectly. The Nuggets are one of those teams that have been there, done that. They've been through the fire. And Jokic is a fucking baller, man. He's one of those dudes that's about it. Jamal Murray is too. So they're a team you definitely don't want to count out. I'm just curious to see if the Mavs can bounce back. That was a tough loss, man. When you have that thought in the back of your head that, hey, we're about to go up 3-0, and then you watch it kind of slip away down the back stretch of that game, it's could be tough to recover from. But Luka's been the man. Him and Kyrie have a good thing cooking in Dallas, and I'm hoping to see the Mavs make a run. But there's a part of me that's definitely worried after last night.
Yeah, they were like
Luka's he's got to work on his free throws. I mean, you have to make the free throws. I mean,
they were like 10
ridiculous.
of 20. They were like 10 of 21 from the line last night. They literally lost that game at the foul line.
No two ways about it. They did literally, definitively and Luka specifically. He is an amazing star. He's an anomaly. One of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life. Nobody that big, that graceful can do that. But you got to hit that free throw. I mean, come on, please give me a break.
Feel like he looks he's kind of banged up too. He's had a knee thing, an ankle thing. You can tell he doesn't seem 100%.
No,
right now either. I don't know. I think the Thunder's youth and legs are going to end up getting the Mavs here in the end. I think, like Moody said, Dallas just blew a chance to go up 3-1. I feel like last night was a golden opportunity for them, and they're going to end up regretting last night a good bit. And Moody, I know you're kind of a bandwagon Dallas Stars fan. They've ripped off 3 in a row over the Avalanche now, and they're up 3-1 in that series. Looking to close that out. They got a shot to make the Cup final.
Yeah, so kind of like with the World Cup, I'm a huge soccer fan for a month or so. I do the same thing every year with hockey, right? Big hockey fan for just the playoffs. So it's been fun to watch. Stars though, bro, they look good. I mean, that was an elite performance. 5-1. That's an ass beating. Momentum is clearly on their side right now, and things are growing. And look, Dallas, the DFW area, could have a real big year here. You get the Rangers World Series, the Mavs with a chance to win an NBA championship. The Stars definitely in a good spot now to make a run at a Stanley Cup. And then you'll have the Cowboys win the Super Bowl. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Okay. Whoa now. Whoa now.
Cowboys winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there you go. That's
yeah.
If
the Super Bowl was decided during the regular season.
Are we in the 90s?
Yeah, if it was a regular season, they're really good in the season. But I don't know. That's
death, taxes, and Dallas is now winning the Super Bowl. Come on now, let's be real.
Also, last thing I want to mention on the sports front, how are y'all doing with the Major League Baseball stuff? I know both of y'all follow it pretty close. Moody, do you have any observations and stuff going on lately?
Well, obviously, so I'm not doing home run props right now because the home run ball is down significantly. So I shared this on my Twitter. This year versus last year, same exit velocity off the bat, same launch angle. The ball's not going as far. They have a dead ball right now in Major League Baseball. I don't know if that's going to change at some point, but there's no doubt that the home run props are down. So I'm up like 4 units on my picks, and then I'm down like 16 or 17 on home run props. So, yeah, the home run props have definitely weighed me down this season. But I'm going to take a little break on that, and then we're coming back once I start seeing the ball flying around like it was last year.
Maybe when the weather heats up, it'll start flying a little more. Are you still doing your picks, but just not the home run props?
Yeah, no home run props right now. But they're coming back. I'm not going out without swinging. You know how I am. So I'm just regrouping at the moment and letting things even itself back out. Sounds like, are you
cool.
hot right now, Stu?
Well, yes, my baseball's been phenomenal. My baseball's been absolutely amazing. And I think the surprise team so far in the National League is how good the Phillies are playing. It looks like Bryce Harper wants the ring. It looks like he wants the ring. And they have the tools to get there, and they're playing great baseball. Look, it's going to be Dodgers, Phillies, Braves. It's going to be one of those three teams. I don't think anybody in the National League could beat them. American League is up for grabs. I think your Texas Rangers, again, God forbid they get Scherzer, who I guess got hurt again. And if DeGrom could come back the second part of this year, or even like in September, I don't see how you can beat Texas, because Bruce Bochy is going to outcoach you. His team is prepared. With less talent, they can beat you. So, it's probably going to be either Texas, and from the National League, it's going to be either Dodgers, Phillies, or Braves. I just don't know if the Yankees are going to be able to get there. The Yankees are the question mark. When they get back Garrett Cole, will they have enough pitching to go the distance? Sure, they got the hitting, but as we know, hitting in the playoffs doesn't really matter. It's all pitching, it's all depth, it's all bullpen, and it's all clutch hitting, which the Yankees have not been. So right now, Tyler, are you still on Texas to win the World Series?
Yeah, no, I love the Rangers still. The one thing that gives me confidence in the Rangers right now is how good Chris Young has been as the general manager. He has pushed all the right buttons at every turn since he's taken the job. And so I have faith that if the Rangers do need something at the trade deadline, they're going to be willing to make the trades to go get them. And that gives me confidence down the stretch. Now, the real question is, can they get DeGrom back and healthy? If you get a 90% Jacob DeGrom for a playoff run, yeah, this team has a real good chance to make some noise once again in October. So my faith is there. The other thing has been, Corey Seager had hernia surgery right before the season started. He has started out slow. He's picking it back up. He's getting it going. The Rangers lost Josh Young. They'll have him back at some point. So this lineup's going to continue to get better as they get healthier. And obviously the big question mark, the same thing with the Yankees. Will they get their ace back and have them be themselves? If the Yankees have Cole, the Rangers have DeGrom, that sounds like a potential ALCS matchup right there.
Wow,
You know what I mean?
that'll
Sounds
be
fun, right?
amazing.
That'd be good stuff.
Big time fun.
So,
big time fun.
Yeah, and you're right on the National League. It's the Dodgers are obviously the cream of the crop right now. Braves, Phillies down the stretch will be fun. The Mets are competitive, but it just feels like they don't have the juice in comparison to the Braves and the Phillies. And the other part of it, the Braves haven't gotten hot yet. Acuna's playing well, but Olsen's striking out a ton.
The Strider injury is tough for them, though.
And that's huge. And it's the same thing we're talking about with the Yankees and the Rangers. When your ace goes down, suddenly you have a big question mark, because that game one, when you were sending out a guy that you felt like was going to get you a win to open up a series, now all of a sudden you have a question mark. And that, that's just not as confident as a fan, I guess, moving forward with when it's that.
Where are y'all on the Baltimore Orioles? Because I know they're just so much young talent. They got one of the best records in baseball. They've fan base is reinvigorated. Where are y'all's thoughts on them?
They're a great team. They're in every single game. They're loaded. Their talent is loaded. They're young. They're well coached. And after last year, they have some momentum right now. They're a dangerous squad. I would not want to play them in the playoffs.
No chance. They're very good. Corbin Burns is a legitimate ace. They have all the pieces, that bullpen, Cano in the back end. They're good. They have all of the pieces. My question is, are those young pieces ready yet? Right? It feels like, we saw last year the Rangers beat them up pretty good whenever the playoffs rolled around. Once the postseason hits, the games change, and that intensity is dialed up to a notch that some of these young players just aren't ready for yet. But the Orioles got a taste of that last season, and they're coming at some point. We're going to see them in the ALCS. We're probably going to see them in a World Series at some point. Whether or not it's this year is the question. I do think they have all the pieces, though. But the youth will be the question, and how they're fitting all those pieces into their lineup right now is real interesting. They've got real talented guys like Kierstad, who they just called up, and he's having to sit on the bench a lot. Ryan O'Hearn sits against all left-handers. They do a great job platooning those back-end guys, but when you're platooning those dudes, how ready are they going to be when the postseason rolls around? So I do think they have the pieces. Corbin Burns is a potential Cy Young winner this season. And the Orioles are going to be there.
All right. Well, Stu, so you said BeLikeStu.com. Go get the diving shout-outs if you want to come party at the legendary Stu Finer pool.
Yes.
And you, I can't recommend that enough. Look, I've had a chance to come out to Stu's pool multiple times, and it lives up to the hype. There's Stu. It's like you've got you're the Long Island Stu Finer Estate. It's It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's an
for
honor.
sure.
I love partying. I love being a host. I love swimming. I love making people happy. You know what I mean? I mean, as we know, Tyler, Ben, and myself, we have storybook lives. We have dream lives. We have lives that people for a day would want to be in our shoes. And when a lot of people come to my house, they're like overwhelmed. They're like, wow, this is amazing. This is, really the best thing that's ever happened in their lives. And I like to just play on that. I like to make people happy. I like to have fun with people, make lives happy, make dreams come true. So when people are here, as you know, I'm America's host. I'm one of the greatest hosts that's ever lived in the world. And I cater to your needs. When you're at my house, I'm working for you. I'm working for you 7/24, whether it's to make you laugh, drink, smoke, eat, party, give you advice on life, advice on sex, advice on gambling, advice just how to be successful with whatever you do. That's what I do every day on my social media. So I really try to make people happy, give people energy, give people confidence, because life is hard and people will never have our lives. It's just the way it is. We're very blessed, and we are also very humble and grateful to being in this position. Definitely because of Barstool Sports.
No doubt.
Definitely because of Dave Portnoy.
No doubt about it.
And definitely because of our God-given ability to just be performers, be entertainers, and understand that the moment is right for us right now to blow it out and just to make people have a better life enjoying us.
There we go. Let's make some dreams come true. Let's hit it hard this week. Once again, Laugh Factory Chicago Thursday night. Use code Mintzy, $15 off for Barstool Comedy Night with Nick Turaney, Mook, and Chris Bader. I want to thank Stu for joining us here on Wake Up Mintzy. Thanks to our fine folks at Dude Wipes, cleaning up messes. You'll never need dry toilet paper again. One use of Dude Wipes will change your life. Yeah, woken up with Stella Blue coffee.
Shout out Big Cat.
Shout out Big Cat. The only way to start your morning. Stella Blue, long-standing sponsor of Chicago Cubs and Wake Up Mintzy, two of the great institutions of our time. Stu, let's get them this week. Oh, last thing. I saw the what. You've been doing pretty good on the health stuff. I saw you had a big weight loss last week. You gained slight gain this week. But you're doing good.
Listen, normally right now with the way I've been in and out, fucking around, a great week, a bad week, I'd be 230. So right now at 193, I'm in fighting distance. So, my lungs are great. My back feels great right now. I'm able to sprint 70 yards in my backyard doing my promo. So I feel fabulous and I'm going to get it together. It's the sugar and the carbs. It's an age-old problem. You have the problem. I have the problem.
Yeah.
Everybody has the problem.
You and I both have the disease.
Sugar and carbs, it's sugar, carbs, and vagina. If you have those three, you really don't need anything else in life. But sometimes too much of a good thing hurts us, as we can attest to. Can I just say one thing? I saw the movie Iron Claw last night.
Okay.
That is a must-see. That is unbelievable. What an emotional roller coaster. I was hysterical crying at the end. I held tears back. I don't know if you know the story, but I don't want to ruin it for anyone. But Iron Claw is an Academy Award performance, an Academy Award movie. It's a true story. It's based on true events, and it's mind-blowing. It's a must-see. I would see Iron Claw right now.
Okay. That's a glowing review. Iron Claw from Stu Feiner. The health stuff for me was interesting because I knew I'd gain back a little bit. Well, not a little bit. I knew I gained back some during March, but I weighed when I was in New Orleans. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I was 237 was my lowest. I weighed 248, 249 in NOLA, but then the next time I weighed was 244, 245. So I was actually thrilled because I thought I might have gained more than that. And now I feel like I got some momentum again. I ran a 30-minute 5K last night. I'm on the wagon again. So I feel like I got away with something where I had a little bit of a bad stretch, and kind of like what you said, I didn't ruin it as much as I thought, and that's a big win on that front. Well, thanks Tyler Moody, thanks Stu Feiner for joining us to Wake Up Mintzy.
Love you guys.
Our amazing sponsors, Dude Wipes and Stella Blue. We'll be back tomorrow. Get your comedy show tickets at Laugh Factory Chicago. Let's have a hell of a week, boys.
Yes.
Stu and I.
Great luck Thursday. Great luck Thursday.
Let's do it, boys.
So excited for you.
Hell yeah. And looking forward to taking Wake Up Mintzy on the road next week in Hoover, Alabama. Thank you, Moody. And thank y'all for listening. What's up, fellas? As y'all know, it's been a hell of a messy year. And the only thing messier than my online history or my big old fat sweaty dumps. That's why this season, I only trust Dude Wipes to handle my Mississippi mud pies.
Oh, Mintzy, you're cooking now. Ooh, wait.
When you're hot, you're hot.